Kings double suited on the button. Incredibly strong hand. But three-way on this very draw-heavy board. I'm just going to check back here. And basically give up on the hand. I'll probably bet like board pairs if they check to me. Getting a pretty good price here. 5-1. I'm going to call. And just check fold this flop. There's not really much I can do on King Deuce 8 Rainbow. Double suited, this hand can be opened. Blind versus blind. And this marginal hand can also be opened on the button. I'd probably call if my opponent 3-bet, although I don't have much of a read on him, but my operative assumption would be that he has a fairly strong hand to re-raise. I'm just going to complete this rundown in the small blind. I guess raising is conceivable as well. It's not a very good flop for my hand. I do flop a 13-out wrap, but the only nut out I have is a 6, 2 6s. And the rest of my outs are fairly poisoned. I'm not really too excited about the straight on the turn. There's still a very good chance that one of my opponents could have it. Although if they all check around, it becomes less likely. And I'm just going to pass this hand on the button. This isn't really a great table. It appears that this player has been erroneously labeled as a fish, and these two guys, I mean, maybe I get a little value from them. Maybe they're playing a little too loose, but it's not. This isn't really. You can find much better games than this. And I'm going to pass this hand first in. Maybe raising would show a profit. I feel like you have to be a little more diligent in practicing your hand selection in a slightly tougher game as opposed to a very loose game. I open double suited queens and get flatted by an unknown player in the blinds. I'm not really sure what sort of hands Kid Poker is 3-betting. My gut suspicion is it's not simply aces, that probably he's got like nice healthy 6% range, something. So I could call on the flop, but I'm just going to put it in, see what happens. I guess I should have considered four betting this hand as well. Still see the nines in the big blind after a player posts and checks, and an extremely aggressive player raises. I think most of the time, almost all the time, these players are going to just call behind me. And I guess I'll call here. It's pretty aggressive. Sort of want to protect three nines if it's the best hand. So I could raise also. Call. And I'm just going to call again now because it's pretty unlikely he's got many outs. And if he's bluffing on the turn, then I don't want to raise him out. So the player is under the gun, limped in. I made a pod size isolation raise. Picked up two hitchhikers. And I think it's an exercise in futility to try to bluff out three very loose players. Although now on the turn, queens could be the best hand. But I'm just going to call. And I'll fold to any reasonable action here on the river. Out of position with a fairly maniacal player behind me, I elect to open limp this hand. I'm pretty tempted to take two to the face here. For sure I do pretty well against the hands that he is three betting with. Probably decently against the hands that he's cold calling with. And this original raiser is wide enough and the raise is small enough that I don't have to fear the four bet a significant amount of the time. Aces in the small blind with a maniacal opener and a loose flatter. I decide to three bet. And I'm going to try a small bet here. There's no draws, but it is possible that one of these players decided to slow play me on the flop. So I fold. Aces again, and I flat, trying to trap the maniac. Into three betting so I can first hand low and four bet. Unfortunately, my evil plan does not come to fruition. And five-way, just gonna check here. 8-1. 10-1. I will continue with the hand. I have the potential to make 2 pair and trips as well as the 2-knot aces. I'm going to call here, out of position, but against a very loose razor, I should be able to continue, and of course I am getting 2-1 to see the flop. I'll probably check call if my opponent bets. I think he might have a sizing tell. And of course, when my opponent checks back the river, I must bet. Somewhat marginal open from the first position with a very aggro 3-better behind me. But hey, my cards are connected. Let's try it out. If Lewis 3-bets, I will call. Somewhat deep in position here. And I do flop a pretty nice wrap, 5-card wrap, which it makes a significant amount of difference on the flush draw board. In terms of your equity when you do get it in against a hand like King with hearts. I'm not really sure what my opponent's thought process was there. I mean, by the time I've bet the turn, I'm so committed that you can't possibly think that I would fold. It's so I would have called this this 20-cent raise, but I don't want to cold call with this hand to that action.